What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? It's your boy, Light Luciferian Prince, coming at y'all once again. And I have present for somebody who wanted to make a clarification. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a public clarification. But before I proceed, I'm just going to say this. This is not constitute legal advice. The sole purpose is for informational and educational purposes only. So before anybody gets that misconstrued, let's just make it very simple. Let's make it very clear before we get it misconstrued. The name of this video is going to be called the 1040NR United States Non-Resident Alien Income Tax Return versus the 1041 Income Tax Return for Estates and Trusts. Now, this is a very complex situation, so it's probably going to take about an elaborate period of about 15 to maybe 20 minutes to explain. Now, this is my personal 1040NR, and I'm going to cover it up. It has my personal information on it. You know what I'm saying? You agents be watching, man. I'll be watching. In the first year I filed it was 2016. To prove it to you, the first year I actually filed it was actually the year before I started my YouTube channel, which was 2016. That's what it looks like. And this is my first one. And this is blank. I mean, for good reason. This is 2016 too. It's not the most recent one, but this is always going back to the roots of my channel, so people know that the originality is still the same. 1041 United States Income Tax Return for Estates and Trusts. Now, most people would ask, what's the difference between these two forms, right? United States Income Tax Return for Estates and Trusts 1041 regards to you and pertains to you, your natural self, as being in a estate and trust. Now, here's the kicker. A lot of people ask me, can you work without a social? Yes, you can. Because I always tell people, if you don't want the social, which is basically a taxpayer identification number, you can get an EIN number. So they're like, well, can I still work? Yes, you can, because this is still a tax form. But look at what it says right there. Employer identification number, right here, right? So if you have an EIN number, I guess the correct form for you to fill out would be the 1041 and not the 1040. See, 1040 is for taxpayers. That's for those 14th Amendment de facto corporate government citizens. Those are the people who say, I acquiesce to the government imposition of taxation, and I wish for you to actually utilize my personal property, and you can actually make gain off of my personal property, and I have no problem with you taking money from my wages, net and gross, not my income. Those are for the people who really haven't come to the awakening yet. Now, as far as 1040 and R, people will say, well, it's a contradiction. No, it's not. Because the 1040 and R is for non-resident alien income tax return. See, it's a big difference. See, it doesn't apply to the same codes and the specifications that the 1040 applies to. Because if you notice, this form is 5 pages. It's 5 pages long. 5 pages long. And if you don't know how to fill it out correctly, you'll never have the legal conclusive effect of actually filling it out. Now, what is the variance between the two? Estates and trusts have to deal with entities that don't pay tax or have reported to the IRS and said that I don't have to pay tax, but this is legitimately why I don't have to pay tax, which otherwise makes you non-liable. Now, the 1040NR, so to speak, is one of those entities. Once you do your renunciation of citizenship, which will be my next video to elaborate on that cause, which will also bring all of this and culminate together so you can get a proper understanding, is that you're basically saying, I'm here, but my income is my own as a non-resident alien. My income is my own. I don't owe you anything, you know. The secret to filling out the form is just basically, as it says, income effectively connected with United States trade and business. And those people who have actually contacted me with regards to the revocation of election, then you attach that to this. You know, once you make yourself exempt from the revocation of election and you actually put it on record, you send this to the IRS, you're exempt from taxation. There is no mystery to it. See, most channels get down to trying to they get down to trying to, simplify the whole process of taxation. And then I know that there's some people on these channels, they don't really want you to know about taxation for good reason, because of course it's the way that I make money for me not doing anything, and that's just the way that all systems of government have ran. But if I work for something, and you know that if you work for something and you do something for someone, then you expect to be compensated for it. So if I exchange my energy, which is my contractual labor, to an employer, then the truth is I expect to be paid for it. But you shouldn't allow somebody else to be paid for something before you get paid. And that's what taxation is. Somebody else getting paid for something before you get paid. Now, I tell people all the time, I don't get into that. Don't pay taxes, and I don't get into none of that. What I do is show you the legal format that you can place it in to say that you're not liable for the taxation. You're not liable. These are the forms that they give you. Now, they give them to you, and they're available for public usage. But the explanation behind how they work is not given. The elaboration on how they work is not given. The approximation on what the form should be used for is not given. And that's the problem that most people have, because they can never separate between the variation of what it is and what the taxation concept really is in regards to these forms. See, I want to show you that one more time. When it said employer identification number and not social security number, you had to take that into strict consideration. So people who ask me a question about, can I still work without a social? Yes, you can. Can you still accept benefits without a social? Yes, you can. All you have to do is just go get you an EIN number. It's 9 digits. It's the same 9 digits that will be used on this form that you will put on the 1041, and the 1041 specifies social security number. That's a fact. So people have to come to the realization that it's the same. You know what I'm saying? The same 9 digits. It's just not in the same format. The identifying number that's on the EIN number, once you actually put it in, is going to associate itself with a different set of laws according to their standard that they set for taxpayers and non-taxpayers. It's just that if I keep you ignorant about the concept of taxpayer, which is basically a 14th Amendment de facto corporate citizen, subject to the codes, rules, regulations, statutes, and procedures of the United States, and in a state and trust, which says that I am not a 14th Amendment de facto corporate citizen, subject to the United States codes, rules, regulations, statutes, and procedures. Now you have a great gulf between what a 1040 and a 1041 is. Now, the gray area, the 1040 and R, is for non-resident. That's for people, the 0.001% of those who have actually taken the path of revoking their United States citizenship. And that's why I said I'm going to elaborate it in my next video, because until you revoke and rescind your United States citizenship, which you can do legally, this is a fact, and I'll get into it in my next video, is just saying, hey, I'm here, and as a permanent resident alien, I am not a U.S. citizen. In other words, I am not a United States de facto corporate citizen. See, when you get applications and you check the box, when you check that box, are you a U.S. citizen? You say yes. That box is very tiny. But at the same token, that same little box fits millions upon millions of letters and words and verbiage and language that you are not familiar with, and it places you into a categorization to say that you're liable as a general partnership with the United States. So, agents, trust me, I'm on your level, and I'm telling you, I've been doing this for years, unscathed, never been in the federal courtroom, never had a summons, never had a warrant, never had any of those problems, because I stick to the script. Now, another thing is that people in the comment section, they really try to elaborate on commercial processes. Let me tell you something. Realistically, on my channel, I don't tolerate that. Those comments will be shut down, taken off. It's over with. Why don't you go somewhere else and start your own channel? You know, do your own thing. You know, if you want to, you're not going to mislead people on my channel, because I read comments all the time. I check emails all the time. I stay on top of my game, and I know that it's just that sometimes that people want to cause dissension whenever the truth comes along, and it's perfectly fine. But creator endowed with the knowledge and wisdom that I have been given on these subjects, I can't mislead people. That would be totally wrong. So I give the facts on my channel, the facts. I don't give my conjecture, I give the facts. The facts are that these are forms that you can use for different purposes. Different purposes, legally conclusive, are to be utilized for your own personal benefit and not the benefit of the government de facto private corporate entity known as the DC Corporation circa 1871. It is what it is, people. Now, people who actually have obtained the document from the Pronunciationis Unitas Americas, you'll see that there was a process of the establishment of what we call the United States. And it was a very ancient process for the particular intent that people wanted more than what they could stomach. And they wanted it off the expense of people who otherwise weren't concerned with their business practices. And that same system exists today. Whether or not people wish to acknowledge that, it doesn't matter. You can stick your head in the sand all you want. The fact still remains the same. I don't receive IRS notices to my domicile. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I do not at all. I don't pay taxes. I haven't paid taxes in years, but I've done it this way to make myself non-exempt. The IRS operates off of an atmosphere of fear and intimidation, but you cannot be intimidated when you come at them with the concept that you are applying the proper knowledge. The proper knowledge is that these are the forms that you use in order to report to those individuals that you don't owe tax. How is that so complicated? I remember I put a form up here a few years ago, 456, and there's this entity called, I think, Ruby Red Tootsies. Yes, I'm on your ass. Trust me, I do my homework. What you do is that you go on these channels and you take this tax information and you go try to spill it off to be your own. Get some creativity, get some knowledge, and get some originality, and learn how to be your own entity and stop taking things from people that you otherwise don't know a concept, and you're misleading people under the precept that you really have some type of wisdom. Stop playing. And secondly, your videos don't even show your face. So people, when you see those videos on YouTube, don't watch them. Any video that you see that somebody puts up about tax information, they don't show their face, they're frauds. And trust me, the reason why they do that is to conceal their identity behind a pseudonym and a general premise. And what they're going to do is they're going to mislead you. So when you get jammed up operating off the knowledge that they present, and they put a disclaimer in front of it, trust me, they're keeping their hands clean. That's about operating behind the scenes. And yeah, I do my homework. Oh yeah, my VPN is coming at you live from Japan. So agents, I'm in Okinawa. Trust me, I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I know better. I'm not out here on this protesting rant. I'm in here kicking the ballistics. And, a lot of people, like I said before, then you wake up. If you don't wish to wake up, it's fine. Stay asleep. I've been up since 7:30 this morning, and it's 12:05, and I'm not going to stop. And I still have 2 more videos to put up before this day is over with, because this is just what I do. It's what I do. It's how I get down. And I want to make you aware of the traps of these people who have these pseudonyms and try to teach you tax information. Let me tell you something. You can see my face every day. If it wasn't for the fact that I have issues of trying to meet up, like agents trying to meet up with me, whatever, I'm not meeting up with you motherfuckers. Like, period. You know that. I got more sense than that. And especially when it comes to tax information. If you want the hardware, please. You know what I'm saying? Like, contact me. Shit. You know what I'm saying? But you already know what it is, so you wouldn't do that anyway. So that minimizes the risk, as far as the general public of the basic subscribers. According to YouTube analytics, majority of a male, I think it's a small percentage of a female. Got to kind of weigh the scale on, But long story short, I'm very aware of the science behind what I do. And these 2 forms are the most vitally important forms, especially with this coronavirus epidemic. Y'all can throw that shit out the window. That shit's not even real. But you can keep wearing your mask if you want to. But long story short, I'm explaining to you the concept behind the method of the madness. And that's why I use these forms of respective and corrective terminology. Contact me, and keep your appointments approximate. If you do not, don't be mad at me if things go awry for yourself, and not keeping approximate with your appointments if you contact me via consultation. But stay tuned, next video, revocation of citizenship. It doesn't stop. And agents, you know what it is. Peace. Love y'all.